Recap City here. In today's video, I'm going to show you a 2018 action crime thriller called Superfly. Make sure to watch till the end. Sit back, relax and be entertained. The movie begins with a young cocaine kingpin called Priest. Priest goes over to meet his friend Liddy, who was throwing a party because he got a new ride. Priest then asked Liddy to pay back the money he was owing him. Liddy tried to act fearless, but Priest demoralized him, saying he knew everything about his family, and he should be scared of him. Liddy then humbled himself, saying he had no money on him, and Priest should send in some cocaine, so he would sell and make money. But Priest refused and then takes his car key. Priest then tells us how he had been hustling on the streets since he was 11, and how he has expanded his operations all over the city. The scene then switches to the Snow Patrol, and their leader Q, spending lavishly in a club. It established the Snow Patrol gang to be one of the richest drug gang in the city. Priest arrived at the scene. He meets up with his two girlfriends, Georgina and Cynthia. Q then invites Priest to come have a drink with him, so he goes over to where the gang was partying. They exchanged pleasantries. As he left, Juju, one of Q's boys, tells Q that he doesn't know why he is still letting Priest breathe. Q tells him that Priest is a good person and he hasn't done anything to the gang. Juju still wasn't satisfied, saying he was a rival. Outside the club, after Priest had bid his girlfriend, Georgina, farewell, Juju spots him and then insults him. Priest tried to leave at first, but Juju kept on pushing. As Juju tried to reach out for his gun, Priest attacked him and his gang members. Juju then picks up his gun and accidentally hits a bystander. The Snow Patrol, seeing this, then hurriedly leave the scene. Priest goes over to the victim, saying everything was going to be fine, as he handed her some cash to go to a trauma center. The next day, Priest goes over to meet Eddie, his close friend. As he got there, he sees Fat Freddy and then asked of Eddie. Eddie was gambling. Priest goes over to him, saying he needed to discuss something important. Eddie's opponent became angry and requested that Eddie comes back to the game, but after they showed him guns, he kept mute. While Priest and Eddie were driving, he tells Eddie about what happened last night and how Juju wanted to end him. Eddie became angry, saying Juju wasn't going to get away with it, but Priest stopped him. He tells Eddie that they want any smoke on them, and he doesn't want to go to war with the Snow Patrol. He goes on to tell Eddie that he wants to stop doing the cocaine business. Eddie wasn't happy about it, so he tells Eddie that after one last big score, he is going out for good. He then tells Eddie that he would speak to Scatter, his mentor, to up their drug supplies. The next day, Priest goes over to meet Scatter in his gym. As they were sparring, he tells Scatter that he wanted him to double the supplies. Scatter tells him that doubling the supplies would make them more suspicious, and put them on the police radar. Priest still insisted that he needed to up the supplies, but Scatter refused. In the next scene, Q yells at Juju for shooting the girl at the club and for trying to kill Priest. He then tells Juju that he would pay for the damages as he leaves. As Juju got back to the saloon, they were hit by men on masks. They kill some members of the Snow Patrol, but Juju was lucky to get out alive. It is then revealed that Fat Freddy was the person behind the mask. The movie switches to Priest and Eddie stalking Scatter. Priest believed that Scatter was going to meet his suppliers, so he asked Eddie to follow Scatter's car. The next day after they arrive Texas, Scatter meets up with his suppliers. Priest identifies the supplier as one of the Gonzalez's brother named Alderbeto. The two then follow the suppliers to Mexico as Scatter left. When they stop their vehicles, Priest decides to step out of his car and follow them on foot. But soon, Priest was discovered and then captured. Alderbeto then bring him on his plane. He tells Priest that he knows who he was, and why would he want to double-cross his boss. Priest replies saying he is ambitious, and Scatter wants to put a ceiling over his head. Alderbeto still wasn't convinced. Priest then talks about Alderbeto's mother and how he favors the other son more than him. Alderbeto became angry and wanted to throw Priest out of the plane, but Priest assured him that he wasn't just a regular dope boy, and he would restore glory back to Alderbeto. Alderbeto then released him. He tells Priest that he would triple the supply for him, but things must go smoothly. In the next scene, Priest goes over to his family house. He then remembers how his mom used to warn him to stop associating with Scatter, and eventually chased him out of the house for selling drugs. He goes inside the house, takes a bag filled with money, and then sell off the house. While they were counting the money they got from sales, Cynthia tells Priest that Snow Patrol got hit. Meanwhile, Q and the rest of the Snow Patrol gang went over to get a casket for their members who had died from the shootout. Juju then tells Q that he is going to come after Priest for what he did. Q tells him that it wasn't Priest's style to go loud, and words weren't out on the street, that it was Priest who actually made the hit on Snow Patrol. But Juju was still filled with anger as he leaves. In the next scene, during a shooting practice, Priest asks Eddie if he had anything to do with the hit on Snow Patrol. Eddie tells him that he ordered Freddy to do it for him. Priest becomes angry, saying Eddie had just started a war with the Snow Patrol. Eddie tells him that they were going to come for him regardless, and there was no way he would have let Juju get away with what he had done. Priest then tells him not to ever go behind his back again. In the next scene, Mayor Atkins could be seen giving a speech on why people should vote for him in the upcoming elections. He was giving this speech in an art gallery Priest had bought for Georgina. After his speech, he appreciates Georgina for expanding his base. Then he tried flirting with Georgina, but she didn't allow. Georgina then asked Priest why she had to be close to the mayor. He tells her that they were going to need his help someday, but for now, she should keep on doing what she was doing. Q then arrived at the exhibition gallery. Georgina tried to make him go away, but Priest intervened. The two then went downstairs to talk. Q asked Priest if he was involved in the shooting. Priest tells him that he was not in town the day they got hit, and even if he had wanted to come out at Juju, he would have done it himself. Q then asked about Eddie, but Priest covers up for him, saying Eddie was with him on the day they got hit. Q then leaves. In the next couple of days, Priest and his crew were already pushing out the cocaine and making huge money from it. Meanwhile, Alderbeto was no longer interested in seeing Scatter again. Celebrating his success, Priest invites his girlfriend, Georgina, to a meal. He then assures her that he was going to take care of her. And after this was all done, they would be free. He organized a house party to celebrate his success. During the party, Eddie tells him that the business was running so smoothly and that Priest was a genius. Priest then noticed that Eddie was wearing a $600,000 wristwatch. He tells Eddie that it wasn't wise wearing something expensive at this time, and that he should keep it on a low. Meanwhile, Fat Freddy asked Eddie for some cocaine so he would sell. At first Eddie refused to give him, but after much pressure he decided to give him just one. The next morning, one of Fat Freddy's side chick goes over to the Snow Patrol. She tells them that Freddy was at the location of the shooting, the day they got hit. Same day, same time. Snow Patrol then finds out that Fat Freddy was one of the assailants. Juju and the Snow Patrol then wait to ambush Fat Freddy, but immediately they saw the cop. They aborted the mission. The cop pulled over Fat Freddy and his girlfriend. He then asked them to step out of the car, as he discovered that they were carrying cocaine. Franklin takes them to meet his partner, Mason. It was then revealed that they were corrupt cops. She tells him to reveal who he was working for, but he refused to say anything. With a gun pointed at Freddy's head, his girlfriend exposed his criminal history and then Priest's identity. They then let them go, but later on, Franklin stops them and then kills them. When the crew heard about Freddy's death, they were devastated. Officer Mason and Franklin then arrived at Priest's place. She threatens to expose him if he doesn't work with her, and in the meantime, she would keep them safe from getting caught by the cops. At first Priest didn't want to agree to her deal, but with a gun pointed at him, he had no other choice. After they left, Priest found out that Eddie had actually given Fat Freddy the cocaine. Priest became angry and then strangles Eddie, leaving him unconscious. In the next scene, Georgina advises Priest to leave the country and run away from the cocaine business, while Cynthia tells him to fight for his business and teach whoever is messing with him a lesson. Priest then decides to travel out of the country. He exchanged all his money into cryptocurrency. During Freddy's funeral, the dirty cops came over. Priest then gives them their money. As they leave, Scatter shows up in Priest's car. He tells Priest that he knows what he had been up to. He then orders him to drive. As they were driving, Priest tells Scatter that he should get out of the business while he still can. It was then revealed that it was Scatter that actually introduced Priest into the drug business, and Scatter was his boss back then. Scatter then takes him to go meet Alderbeto. He tells Alderbeto that Priest was trying to get out of the business, but Priest denies it, saying Scatter was lying. Alderbeto then kills Scatter and put him in an alkaline hydrolysis machine. After he found out that Scatter had been stealing from him, he then threatens Priest that there was no out in the business, and he shouldn't even think about it. Priest became devastated. In the next scene, as they were preparing to leave, Snow Patrol led by Juju busts Priest's mansion. They shot at him as Cynthia shot back. In the process, she got killed. Priest and Georgina then uses fire to box the Snow member and prevent them from coming at them, but Juju jumped out of the fire as he chases after them. In a hot car chase, Juju got into an accident and then injured himself, while Q continued the chase. After a long chase, Q got himself killed in a car crash. In the next scene, Eddie goes over to meet Juju and the Snow Patrol gang. He tells them that he doesn't want any trouble and wants to join the winning team. He tells them he knows where Priest was hiding and where he stored up all his money. He took them to Priest's hideout. But then they were ambushed by the police. Mason then kills Juju. It was then revealed that Eddie had actually faked his allegiance to help Priest get rid of Juju and the Snow Patrol. Priest then thanked him for his help as he proceeded to go meet up with the mayor. He blackmails the mayor, showing him his sex tape. He tells the mayor to help him with getting a file, and he would win the next election. Alderbeto's mother got hold of the file that showed proof of Alderbeto framing his brother. She became angry and then executed him with the alkaline hydrolysis machine. Priest then sell out Mason to the police. She was arrested for cocaine possession. Priest meets up with Franklin. He beats him up mercilessly to avenge the death of Freddy. The scene then switches to Priest and Georgina in Montenegro. They were finally free from all their enemies as they relaxed on a cruise. Eddie still runs the business, saying it was all Priest's plan to go out, not his. They then bid themselves farewell. The end. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. Goodbye till we meet again.